Unexpected arrival. The gentle hum of fluorescent lights and the occasional rustle of pages were the only sounds breaking the silence of Millbrook Public Library. Evelyn Carter, the head librarian, sat at her desk, her fingers flying over the keyboard as she updated the library's ancient catalog system. At 35, Evelyn had settled into a comfortable routine in this small Midwestern town, her life as predictable as the Dewey Decimal System she cherished. A sudden flash of light outside the window caught her attention. Evelyn blinked, wondering if she'd imagined it. But then came another, brighter this time, followed by a low rumble that shook the bookshelves. Curiosity overcame caution, and she found herself walking to the window. What she saw made her gasp. A sleek, silvery object, no larger than a car, had landed in the empty lot next to the library. As Evelyn watched, a portion of the object's smooth surface rippled and parted, revealing a figure that was decidedly not human. The being that emerged was tall and lithe, with iridescent skin that seemed to shimmer in the late afternoon sun. Its large, almond-shaped eyes swept the area before settling on Evelyn. For a moment, they stared at each other, human and alien, separated by a pane of glass and countless light years of evolution. Evelyn's heart raced. Her mind flitted between excitement, fear, and an almost comical sense of absurdity. Of all the places in the universe, why would an alien choose to land next to a library in Millbrook? Population 4,287. The alien took a step forward, then another, its movements graceful despite the obvious fatigue in its posture. It raised a hand, four-fingered and webbed, in what Evelyn recognized as a universal gesture of peace. Before she could second-guess herself, Evelyn was moving. She rushed to the library's back door, her sensible shoes squeaking on the linoleum floor. As she pushed the door open, the warm summer air hit her face, carrying with it a faint metallic scent she'd never encountered before. "Hello," Evelyn called out, her voice steadier than she felt. "Welcome to Earth. I'm Evelyn." The alien's head tilted slightly, reminding Evelyn of the way her cat looked when trying to understand human speech. Then, to her amazement, it spoke. "Greetings, Evelyn of Earth. I am Zarak, last survivor of the Lumina." The voice was melodious, with an odd echoing quality that seemed to resonate in Evelyn's chest. Evelyn took a tentative step closer. Are you all right? You look exhausted." Zarak's large eyes blinked slowly. "I have traveled far, fleeing a great conflict that has consumed my home world. I seek sanctuary, if your people would grant it." The gravity of the situation hit Evelyn like a ton of books. This wasn't just a chance encounter. This was first contact. And somehow, she was the one making it. She straightened her back, squaring her shoulders. "Of course," she said, surprising herself with her conviction. "You're safe here. Let's get you inside before anyone else sees you." As they walked towards the library, Evelyn's mind raced. What was the protocol for hiding an alien refugee? She was pretty sure it wasn't covered in her librarian training. Once inside, Evelyn locked the doors and flipped the closed sign. Zarak looked around with obvious curiosity, long fingers reaching out to touch the spines of nearby books. "These contain your world's knowledge?" Zarak asked. Evelyn nodded. "Some of it, yes. Books, stories, history. They're all here." Zarak's eyes seemed to glow with interest. "Fascinating. On my world, we store information in crystalline structures. But this is beautiful in its simplicity." As Evelyn watched the alien explore, she realized that despite the obvious physical differences, there was something familiar in Zarak's thirst for knowledge. It was the same curiosity she saw in the eyes of every passionate reader who walked through her doors. "Zarak," Evelyn said, an idea forming. "I think I know how to help you blend in, at least temporarily. But first, can you tell me more about this conflict you're fleeing? Are we in danger?" The alien's luminescent skin dimmed slightly, a shadow passing over its features. "The war that destroyed my world is far from here. but its reach is long. I was a scholar, keeper of my people's history and culture. When the Void Collective attacked, seeking to absorb our knowledge and erase our identity, I was charged with preserving what I could. Zerak's hand moved to a small device on its chest, previously hidden. In this quantum storage unit, I carry the last remnants of my civilization. Millennia of art, science, and wisdom, all that remains of the Lumina. Evelyn felt a lump form in her throat. The weight of Zerak's responsibility was unimaginable. "We'll keep it safe," she promised, though she had no idea how she'd manage it. "But right now, we need to focus on keeping you safe and hidden." She led Zerak to the library's small break room, mind-whirling with plans. "Stay here," she instructed. "I'm going to get some things to help disguise you. Don't worry, I'll be back soon." As Evelyn hurried out of the library, she couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. Yesterday, her biggest concern had been organizing the summer reading program. Now she was harboring an alien fugitive and safeguarding the last remnants of an extinct civilization. She drove home in a daze, gathering clothes, makeup, and a wide-brimmed hat. As she worked, a determination she'd never felt before settled over her. Zerak had traveled across the galaxy seeking sanctuary and had found it in her little library. Evelyn might not know much about intergalactic wars or advanced alien civilizations, but she knew about protecting knowledge and helping those in need. That's what librarians did, after all. By the time Evelyn returned to the library, the sun had set, casting long shadows across the empty parking lot. She slipped inside, locking the door behind her. "Zerak," she called softly. The alien emerged from the break room, eyes glowing softly in the dim light. "You have returned, Evelyn of Earth. I feared you might have abandoned me." Evelyn felt a pang of guilt. "Never," she assured Zerak. "I'm here to help. Now, let's see if we can make you look a little more human." The next hour was filled with laughter and frustration as Evelyn attempted to disguise Zerak. The alien's tall, slender frame was eventually concealed beneath a flowing sundress and a large sun hat. Makeup helped to mute the iridescent glow of Zerak's skin, though Evelyn suspected it wouldn't hold up under close scrutiny. "There," Evelyn said, stepping back to admire her handiwork. "It's not perfect, but it should be enough to avoid immediate detection. We'll say you're my cousin, visiting from out of town." Zerak studied its reflection in a small mirror, turning this way and that. "Remarkable. Your species has developed fascinating methods of altering appearance." Evelyn couldn't help but smile. Despite the gravity of the situation, there was something endearing about Zerak's wonder at such mundane things. "Now," Evelyn said, her tone growing serious, "we need to figure out our next steps. I can't keep you hidden in the library forever, and if what you've told me about this Void Collective is true, Earth could be in danger." Zerak nodded solemnly. "You are correct, Evelyn of Earth. My presence here may eventually draw their attention, but perhaps that is not entirely a bad thing." Evelyn frowned. "What do you mean?" "My people were not warriors," Zerak explained. "We were scholars, artists, scientists. We were unprepared for the Void Collective's aggression. But your people..." The alien's eyes swept over the library, taking in the books, the computers, the simple yet ingenious tools of human knowledge. "Your people have a spark of creativity, a drive that my own lacked. Perhaps, with the right guidance, humans could succeed where the Lumina failed." Evelyn felt a chill run down her spine. The idea that Earth might soon face an intergalactic threat was terrifying. And yet, hearing Zerak's faith in humanity's potential filled her with an odd sense of pride and determination. "All right," she said, squaring her shoulders. "Then we've got work to do. First thing tomorrow, we're going to start going through that quantum storage unit of yours. If we're going to have any chance against this Void Collective, we're going to need every scrap of knowledge we can get." As they settled in for the night, Evelyn making a makeshift bed for Zerak among the stacks, she couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement beneath her fear. Her life had been turned upside down in the span of a few hours, but for the first time in years, she felt truly alive. Tomorrow, they would begin the monumental task of preparing Earth for a threat it didn't even know existed. But for tonight, in the quiet of her beloved library, Evelyn allowed herself a moment to marvel at the incredible turn her life had taken. As she drifted off to sleep, her last thought was of the books surrounding them. How many times had she lost herself in stories of fantastic adventures and brave heroes saving the world? Now, it seemed, it was her turn to live one. Cultural exchange. The early morning sun streamed through the library windows, casting long shadows across the rows of books. Evelyn stirred, momentarily disoriented by the unfamiliar surroundings. Then the events of the previous day came rushing back, and she sat up with a start. Zerak was already awake, sitting cross-legged on the floor with the quantum storage device balanced on its lap. The alien's fingers danced over the surface, manipulating holographic displays that shimmered in the air. "Good morning, Evelyn of Earth," Zerak said, not looking up from its work. "I hope your rest was sufficient." Evelyn sat at her desk in the library, surrounded by stacks of books and printouts. She had been researching Earth's military capabilities, trying to find ways to integrate luminant technology without causing widespread panic or international incidents. Zerak entered, its skin pulsing with a soft, concerned light. "Evelyn, you have not rested in 37 of your Earth hours. Your species requires more frequent periods of inactivity than mine. Perhaps you should sleep." Evelyn rubbed her tired eyes, smiling weakly at her alien friend. I know. It's just, how can I sleep when there's so much at stake?" Before Zerak could respond, Evelyn's phone buzzed. It was a text from Sam. "Major breakthrough. Need to meet ASAP. Bringing a friend. Librarian 30. Evelyn showed the message to Zerak, her excitement tempered by caution. "What do you think? Can we trust Sam's friend?" Zerak's skin flickered thoughtfully. "Dr. Chen has proven to be a valuable ally. If she trusts this individual, perhaps we should extend the same courtesy. However, caution would be wise." 30 minutes later, Evelyn heard a knock at the library's back door. She opened it to find Sam, looking both excited and nervous, accompanied by a tall, distinguished-looking man in a crisp military uniform. "Ev, this is General Marcus Hawthorne," Sam said, her voice low. Well, let's just say he's with a branch of the military that deals with unusual situations." General Hawthorne extended his hand, his piercing blue eyes scanning the room. "Miss Carter, Dr. Chen has told me some interesting things. I'm here to see if they're true." Evelyn shook his hand, her mind racing. This could either be their big break or a catastrophic mistake. "General, before we go any further, I need to know, what exactly has Sam told you?" The general's lips twitched in what might have been amusement. "Oh, just that you've been in contact with an extraterrestrial being, and that you have access to technology that could revolutionize our understanding of the universe. Nothing too outlandish." His casual tone belied the gravity of his words. Evelyn exchanged a glance with Zerak, who had been quietly observing from the shadows. With a slight nod from Evelyn, Zerak stepped forward, allowing its disguise to fade away. General Hawthorne's eyes widened, his composure slipping for just a moment. "Well, I'll be damned," he muttered. Over the next few hours, Evelyn and Zerak brought the general up to speed on everything: the fall of Lumina, the threat of the Void Collective, and the potential defenses Earth could develop using luminant technology. As they finished their explanation, the general sat back, his face unreadable. "This is a lot to take in. You understand that I can't just take your word for all this. I'll need proof, and a lot of it." Zerak stepped forward, the quantum storage device in hand. Perhaps a demonstration would be in order. With a few deft movements, Zerak projected a holographic display of Earth's solar system. But this was no ordinary map. It showed energy fields, gravitational waves, and streams of particles invisible to human technology. This is a real-time representation of your solar system, Zerak explained. With this, we can detect any approaching vessels long before they enter your current detection range. General Hawthorne leaned in, his military training warring with childlike wonder. My God, with this, we could revolutionize our early warning systems, our satellite networks. That's just the beginning, Evelyn interjected. Zerak, show him the shield technology. The hologram shifted, displaying a shimmering energy field enveloping the Earth. This adaptive shield could protect your planet from both physical and energy-based attacks, Zerak explained. It would require significant resources to implement, but it is within the realm of possibility for your current level of technology, with some guidance. The general's eyes narrowed. And what would this guidance cost us? In my experience, advanced civilizations don't just hand over their secrets out of the goodness of their hearts. Zerak's skin pulsed with a sad light. My civilization is gone, General Hawthorne. I am its last survivor. I seek only to prevent your world from suffering the same fate as mine. Evelyn placed a comforting hand on Zerak's arm. We're not asking for payment, General. We're asking for an alliance. Earth needs to be prepared, and we need your help to make that happen. General Hawthorne was quiet for a long moment, his eyes moving from the hologram to Zerak to Evelyn. Finally, he spoke. All right. Let's say I believe you. Let's say I'm willing to help. What's our next move? Evelyn felt a surge of relief and excitement. We need to assemble a team. Scientists, engineers, military strategists, people we can trust to handle this information and work quickly. The alien was quiet for a moment, processing this. I understand. On Lumina, we valued truth above all else. But I can see how, in this situation, a measure of discretion might be necessary. As they finished their breakfast and headed back to the library, Evelyn's mind raced with possibilities and potential pitfalls. They had managed to keep Zerak's true nature a secret for now, but how long could that last? And what would happen when the truth inevitably came out? Back at the library, they dove into the task of sifting through the vast repository of Luminan knowledge. Zerak proved to be an adept teacher, patiently explaining complex scientific concepts in terms Evelyn could understand. For her part, Evelyn found that her skills as a librarian, organizing information, cross-referencing, and identifying key points were surprisingly applicable to their task. As the day wore on, Evelyn became increasingly amazed by the depth and breadth of Luminan achievements. They had harnessed the power of stars, cured diseases that still plagued humanity, and unlocked secrets of the universe that Earth's greatest minds had only begun to ponder. This is incredible, Evelyn breathed, examining a holographic model of a Luminan city. The structures seemed to defy gravity, organic shapes flowing seamlessly into one another. Your people achieved so much. How could the Void Collective possibly have defeated you? Zerak's luminescence dimmed slightly, a sign Evelyn had come to associate with sadness. The Lumina focused so intently on advancement and knowledge that we neglected other aspects of development. We had no concept of conflict, no means of defense. When the Void Collective came, we were unprepared. Evelyn placed a comforting hand on Zerak's arm, marveling at the warmth and slight vibration she felt beneath her fingers. I'm so sorry, but your people's legacy lives on through you, and through this knowledge you've saved. We'll make sure it wasn't in vain. As evening approached, Evelyn realized they had spent the entire day immersed in Luminan culture and technology. Her head swam with new concepts and ideas, each more revolutionary than the last. Zerak, she said, a thought suddenly occurring to her. All of this is amazing, but how do we actually use it? I mean, I'm a librarian, not a scientist. And even if I were, most of this technology is centuries beyond what we have on Earth. The alien was quiet for a moment, considering. Perhaps, it said slowly, the key is not in the technology itself, but in the principles behind it. Your people have a remarkable capacity for adaptation and innovation. If we can introduce some of these basic concepts, your scientists might be able to develop them in ways even the Lumina never considered. Evelyn nodded, excitement building. That could work. We could start by reaching out to some trusted scientists, maybe through academic channels. Present it as theoretical research at first. As they continued to plan, a notification popped up on one of the holographic displays. Zarok's eyes widened, its skin pulsing with an urgent light. "What is it?" Evelyn asked, alarmed by the alien's sudden change in demeanor. "A signal," Zarok said, its voice tight. "Weak, but unmistakable. It seems we are not alone, Evelyn of Earth. Another survivor of Lumina has arrived on your world." Evelyn felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. Another alien could be a powerful ally in their efforts to prepare Earth, but it could also complicate their already precarious situation. As night fell over Millbrook, Evelyn realized that their quiet cultural exchange was about to become far more complex. The stakes were rising, and with them, the potential for both triumph and disaster. But as she looked at Zarok, saw the hope and determination in those alien eyes, she knew there was no turning back. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, human and alien, united in their quest to save not just one world, but two. Brewing trouble. The next few days passed in a blur of activity. Evelyn and Zarok worked tirelessly to locate the source of the mysterious signal, all while continuing their efforts to gradually introduce Luminan knowledge to Earth's scientific community. Evelyn had reached out to Dr. Samantha Chen, an old college friend who now worked at a prestigious research institute. Sam had been skeptical at first, but the elegance and potential of the theoretical concepts Evelyn shared soon had her intrigued. "Ev, I've never seen anything like it." Sam's voice crackled over the secure line they'd set up. "If even half of what you're suggesting is possible, we're talking about a complete paradigm shift in multiple fields. Where did you say this came from again?" Evelyn glanced at Zarok, who was busy adjusting the quantum storage device. "Let's just say it's from an unconventional source. I can't say more right now, Sam, but I promise I will when the time is right. Can you just focus on the science for now?" Sam's sigh was audible even through the poor connection. "Fine, keep your secrets. But whatever this is, Ev, it's big. I've already had to fend off questions from some very interested parties. Be careful, okay?" As Evelyn ended the call, she felt a familiar knot of anxiety in her stomach. They were walking a dangerous line, and she knew it. But before she could dwell on it further, Zarok let out an excited trill. "Evelyn, I've isolated the signal's origin. It's coming from a wooded area approximately 20 of your miles north of here." Evelyn rushed over, peering at the holographic map hovering above the device. "That's Miller's Woods. It's pretty remote. Good place to hide if you're trying not to be seen. We should go check it out." As they prepared for their expedition, Evelyn couldn't shake a feeling of unease. The arrival of another alien should have been good news, but something felt off. Zarok seemed to sense her apprehension. "You are troubled, Evelyn of Earth." Evelyn nodded, zipping up her backpack. "I can't explain it, Zarok. It just feels like we're at a tipping point, like everything's about to change." Zarok's skin pulsed with a soft, comforting light. "Change is the nature of the universe, my friend. We must adapt or perish. But whatever comes, we will face it together." The drive to Miller's Woods was tense, both occupants of Evelyn's old Subaru lost in thought. As they parked at the trailhead and began their hike, the forest seemed unnaturally quiet, as if holding its breath in anticipation. They had been walking for nearly an hour when Zarok suddenly froze, its skin flickering rapidly. "We are close. The signal is very strong now." Evelyn scanned the dense foliage, her heart pounding. "I don't see anything." "Wait." There, partially hidden by a large oak, was a faint shimmer in the air. As they approached, the shimmer resolved into the outline of a ship, similar to Zarok's but larger and more angular. "It is a Luminan vessel," Zarok confirmed, its voice tight with emotion. But it is not of my era. This design is ancient, from long before the fall of our civilization. Before Evelyn could respond, a figure emerged from the ship, tall and willowy like Zarok, but with skin that glowed a deep, pulsating red. Its eyes, when they fixed on Evelyn and Zarok, were cold and calculating. "Greetings, last child of Lumina," the newcomer said, its voice a harsh contrast to Zarok's melodious tones. "I am Vexilor, sentinel of the eternal flame. I have traveled across time and space to find you." Zarok stepped forward, placing itself slightly in front of Evelyn. "Sentinel, but the Order of the Eternal Flame was disbanded millennia ago, long before my time." Vexilor's laugh was like grinding metal. "Disbanded, yes, but not destroyed. We saw the weakness that was creeping into our people, the complacency that would lead to our downfall. We vowed to prevent it, by any means necessary." A chill ran down Evelyn's spine as the implications sank in. You're the reason the Void Collective attacked Lumina, aren't you?" Vexilor's gaze snapped to Evelyn, as if truly noticing her for the first time. "Clever little primitive. Yes, we orchestrated the fall of Lumina. A necessary sacrifice to cull the weak and forge a stronger future." Zarok's skin flashed with anger. "You betrayed our people. Billions died. Billions were spared the slow decay of complacency," Vexilor countered. "And now, last child, you will hand over the quantum storage device. The combined knowledge of Lumina is too dangerous to be left in the hands of one naive scholar and a planet of primitives." Evelyn felt a surge of protective anger. "Like hell, we will. Earth isn't perfect, but we're not going to let you or the Void Collective destroy us like you did Lumina." Vexilor's eyes narrowed. "You've been busy, haven't you? Spreading dangerous ideas among the humans. I had hoped to resolve this quietly. But it seems more. Direct action will be necessary." The air around Vexilor began to shimmer, and Evelyn felt an oppressive weight pressing down on her. Zarok let out a cry of alarm. "Evelyn, run. He's activating a chronostasis field. If it touches you, you'll be frozen in time." Evelyn didn't need to be told twice. She turned and sprinted back the way they had come, Zarok close behind. The forest blurred around them as they ran, the oppressive force of Vexilor's power nipping at their heels. As they burst out of the tree line, Evelyn's mind raced. They couldn't lead Vexilor back to town, back to innocent people. But where could they go? The quarry. She gasped out between breaths. Old limestone quarry, about a mile east. It's abandoned, no one around. Zarok nodded, its skin pulsing rapidly with exertion. They veered off the path, crashing through underbrush as they made for the quarry. Behind them, they could hear Vexilor's measured pursuit, unhurried and confident. They'd reached the edge of the quarry, a vast pit of white stone stretching out before them. Evelyn skidded to a stop, panting heavily. Now what? Zarok's eyes darted around, taking in their surroundings. Its gaze settled on a cluster of old mining equipment. There, the metals in those machines might disrupt Vexilor's chronostasis field. We can use them for cover while I attempt to access the defensive protocols in the quantum storage device. They had just reached the rusted hulks of the mining equipment when Vexilor emerged from the trees. The air around him rippled with power, distorting the very fabric of reality. "There is no escape," Vexilor called out, his voice echoing unnaturally across the quarry. "Accept your fate and the fate of this doomed world." Crouched behind an old excavator, Evelyn watched as Zarok's fingers danced over the quantum storage device. "Anything," she whispered urgently. Zarok's skin pulsed with frustration. "The defensive systems are locked. I need more time." Time, Evelyn realized with a start, was something they might be able to manipulate. "Zarok," she said, an idea forming. "You said Vexilor is from the ancient past, right? So his technology, as advanced as it is to us, might be outdated compared to yours." Zarok's eyes widened in understanding. "Yes, If I can isolate the temporal frequency of his chronostasis field, I might be able to create a counter-resonance. As Zeruk worked, Evelyn peered around the edge of their cover. Vexlor was advancing slowly, methodically, his chronostasis field spreading out in a visible wave before him. Patches of grass and small rocks caught in its path froze, becoming like statues. "Ah, Zorak? Not to rush you, but we're running out of time here." Just then, Vexlor's voice boomed out again. "I grow tired of this game. Perhaps a demonstration of the fate that awaits you will change your mind." To Evelyn's horror, Vexlor raised his hand toward the town of Millbrook, visible in the distance. The air began to ripple and distort, the chronostasis field expanding at an alarming rate. "No," Evelyn cried out, her mind filled with images of her friends, her neighbors, all of Millbrook frozen in time, helpless. But before the field could reach the town, there was a brilliant flash of light. Evelyn blinked, momentarily blinded. When her vision cleared, she saw Zorak standing tall, the quantum storage device glowing with power. "Enough, Vexlor," Zorak's voice rang out, filled with an authority Evelyn had never heard before. "Your time is past. You will not harm this world or its people." A beam of pure energy shot from the device, colliding with Vexlor's chronostasis field. The two forces met in a spectacular display of light and power, the very air seeming to warp and twist around them. For a moment, it seemed as if they were evenly matched. But then, slowly but surely, Zorak's beam began to push back Vexlor's field. The ancient Luminan let out a cry of disbelief as his power was overwhelmed. There was a final, blinding flash, and when it faded, Vexlor was gone. In his place was a statue of white stone, frozen in a pose of defiance. Evelyn emerged from behind the excavator, her legs shaky. Is it over?" Zorak nodded, its skin pulsing with exhaustion. "For now. But Vexlor's presence here means the threat to your world is greater than we realized. The Void Collective may already be on its way." As they stood there, the setting sun casting long shadows across the quarry, Evelyn felt the weight of their situation settle on her shoulders. They had won this battle, but the war for Earth's future was just beginning. "What do we do now?" she asked, her voice small in the vastness of the quarry. Zorak's hand found hers, warm and reassuring. "Now, Evelyn of Earth, we prepare. Your world must be ready to face what's coming. And thanks to you, I believe it will be." As they made their way back to town, Evelyn knew that nothing would ever be the same. The quiet life she had known was gone, replaced by a destiny larger than she could have ever imagined. But with Zorak by her side, and the spirit of human resilience to guide them, she felt ready to face whatever the universe might throw their way. The real challenge, she realized, was just beginning. Unlikely alliance. The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity. Evelyn and Zorak worked tirelessly to prepare Earth for the impending threat of the Void Collective. The encounter with Vexlor had made it clear that time was not on their side. Evelyn stretched, wincing at the crick in her neck. Sleeping on the library floor wasn't exactly comfortable, but it was a small price to pay for the adventure she'd stumbled into. "It was fine, thanks. How about you? Did you sleep at all?" Zorak's skin rippled in what Evelyn was beginning to recognize as the alien equivalent of a shrug. "My species requires less rest than yours. I have been reviewing the data in the quantum storage, trying to determine what might be most immediately useful to your world." Evelyn moved closer, peering at the holographic displays with undisguised fascination. Symbols and images she couldn't begin to comprehend flowed across the projected screens. "Any luck?" "Perhaps," Zorak said, its tone thoughtful. "The Lumina had developed technologies far beyond what I've observed on your world. Energy generation, medical advancements, faster than light travel. But I fear introducing such things too quickly could be dangerous." Evelyn nodded, understanding the alien's caution. "You're right. We need to be careful about how we proceed. But maybe we can start small, find ways to gradually introduce some of this knowledge. As they discussed potential strategies, Evelyn's stomach growled loudly, reminding her of more immediate concerns. "I don't suppose your people invented some kind of food replicator?" she asked, only half joking. Zerak's eyes crinkled in what might have been amusement. "I'm afraid not. But I am curious to experience your world's sustenance." Evelyn glanced at her watch. "The cafe down the street should be opening soon. Think you're up for a field trip? It'll be a good test of your disguise." After a quick touch-up of Zerak's makeup and human clothing, they'd ventured out into the quiet streets of Millbrook. Evelyn couldn't help but feel a thrill of excitement mixed with anxiety. Every passing car, every early morning jogger felt like a potential threat to their secret. But Zerak seemed to revel in the experience, its eyes wide as it took in the sights, sounds, and smells of the small town. "Your world is so vibrant," the alien said, pausing to examine a flower growing through a crack in the sidewalk. "On my world, such uncontrolled life would be unthinkable. Everything was carefully managed, cultivated." Evelyn smiled, seeing her familiar surroundings through new eyes. Earth can be pretty chaotic, but there's beauty in that chaos. At the cafe, Evelyn ordered a variety of breakfast items, eager to introduce Zerak to human cuisine. The alien approached each dish with scientific curiosity, analyzing textures and flavors with an intensity that made Evelyn stifle a laugh. "This coffee," Zerak said, savoring the word as much as the drink. "It contains a mild stimulant, correct?" "Fascinating. We had similar beverages on Lumina, though ours were designed to enhance cognitive function rather than simply provide energy." As they ate, Evelyn couldn't help but notice the occasional curious glance from other patrons. She silently prayed that they would attribute Zerak's odd mannerisms and appearance to eccentricity rather than extraterrestrial origin. Their breakfast was interrupted by a familiar voice. "Evelyn, I didn't expect to see you here this morning." Evelyn looked up to see Tom Anderson, Millbrook's sheriff and her longtime friend, standing by their table. She forced a smile, hoping her nervousness wasn't obvious. "Oh, hi Tom. Just having breakfast with my cousin, Zara. She's visiting from out of town." Tom's eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at Zerak. "Nice to meet you, Zara. Don't think Evelyn's ever mentioned a cousin before." Zerak, to its credit, managed a passable smile. "It is a pleasure to meet you, Tom of Millbrook. Evelyn has been most hospitable in showing me your charming town." If Tom noticed anything odd about Zerak's manner of speaking, he didn't show it. Instead, he turned back to Evelyn. "Say, have you heard anything about those strange lights people reported seeing last night? Some folks are saying it might have been a meteor, but others are talking about, well, you know how people get with their wild theories." Evelyn felt her heart race. "Lights? No, can't say I've heard anything about that. But you know me, Tom. Always got my nose in a book." Tom chuckled. "That's true enough. Well, if you hear anything, let me know. Enjoy your breakfast, ladies." As the sheriff walked away, Evelyn let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. "That was close," she muttered. Zerak tilted its head. "You did not tell the truth about my arrival. Is deception common among your people?" Evelyn felt a pang of guilt. Not usually, no. But in this case, Zerak, if people knew the truth about you, it could cause panic. Or worse, you could be in danger. We need to be careful, at least until we figure out our next steps. Sam, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. "I have some contacts in the scientific community. People who've been working on cutting-edge stuff, who might be open to unconventional ideas." The general nodded. "I can bring in some of my best people. Tacticians, weapons developers. We'll need to keep this off the books, at least for now. The fewer people who know, the better." As they began to plan, Evelyn felt a shift in the room's energy. For the first time since Zerak had landed in Millbrook, she felt a real sense of hope. They were no longer alone in this fight. Over the next few days, a steady stream of people began to arrive in Millbrook. Scientists with wild hair and wilder ideas, military personnel with stern faces and adaptable minds. Each was carefully vetted, sworn to secrecy, and then introduced to the truth of Earth's situation. They set up a base of operations in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. The interior quickly filled with a mixture of Earth technology and Luminan innovations. Holographic displays flickered alongside conventional computers. Prototypes of energy weapons sat next to traditional firearms. Evelyn watched in amazement as humans and one alien worked side by side, bridging the gap between two vastly different technological paradigms. There were challenges, of course, cultural misunderstandings, technological hurdles, and the ever-present race against time. But there were triumphs, too. The day they successfully tested a small-scale version of the planetary shield, the entire team had cheered. The look of pride on Zorak's face had brought tears to Evelyn's eyes. One evening, as they watched the sun set from the roof of the warehouse, Zorak turned to Evelyn. "Your people continue to amaze me, Evelyn of Earth. The speed at which they adapt, their creativity in the face of challenges. I believe the Lumina could have learned much from humans." Evelyn smiled, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with the setting sun. "We're not so bad, are we? A bit primitive, maybe, but we're quick learners." Zarek's skin pulsed with amusement. "Primitive, perhaps, but there is a strength in your perceived weakness. Your short lifespans drive you to achieve great things quickly. Your divisions force you to consider multiple perspectives. Even your conflicts, while destructive, have driven incredible technological advancements." Before Evelyn could respond, an alarm blared from inside the warehouse. They rushed down to find the team gathered around the main holographic display. General Hawthorne looked up as they entered, his face grim. "We've got incoming. Multiple vessels, approaching at speeds we've never seen before. They'll be here in less than 48 hours. The room erupted in a flurry of activity. Scientists rushed to finalize their projects. Military personnel began coordinating with their counterparts around the world, preparing for a threat they couldn't fully disclose. Evelyn felt a moment of panic, but it was quickly replaced by determination. They had prepared for this. They were as ready as they could be. She turned to Zorak, seeing her own resolve mirrored in those alien eyes. "Well, my friend," she said, her voice steady despite the fear churning in her gut. "I guess this is it. The moment of truth." Zarak nodded, its skin pulsing with a fierce, determined light. "Indeed, the fate of two worlds now hangs in the balance, but I have faith, Evelyn of Earth, in you, in your people, in the strength of our unlikely alliance." As the countdown to Earth's greatest challenge ticked away, Evelyn looked around at the diverse group of humans and one extraordinary alien, all united in a common cause. Whatever the Void Collective might throw at them, they would face it together. The final battle for Earth's future was about to begin. A new era. The next 48 hours passed in a blur of frantic activity. As news of the approaching alien fleet spread through classified channels, the world's governments scrambled to prepare without causing widespread panic. Evelyn, Zorak, and their team worked tirelessly, making last-minute adjustments to their defenses and praying it would be enough. As the deadline approached, Evelyn stood in the command center they'd established, watching the holographic display that showed the Void Collective's fleet drawing ever closer. She felt a presence beside her and turned to see Zorak, its skin pulsing with a mix of anxiety and determination. "It's time," Zorak said softly. "The fate of your world will be decided in the next few hours." Evelyn nodded, swallowing hard. "I never thought I'd be at the center of humanity's first contact with alien life. Well, second contact, I suppose," she added with a weak smile at Zorak. General Hawthorne's voice cut through the tense atmosphere. "They're entering the outer solar system. Activate the early warning system." At his command, a shimmering energy field flickered to life around Earth in the holographic display. It was an ingenious combination of luminant technology and human innovation. A network of satellites augmented with Xeroc's advanced sensors. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, suddenly, alarms blared as multiple points of light appeared on the display, representing the Void Collective ships as they dropped out of faster-than-light travel. "My God," someone whispered. "There are hundreds of them." Evelyn felt her heart sink. Despite all their preparations, the sheer scale of the invasion force was overwhelming. She glanced at Xeroc, seeing her own fear reflected in those alien eyes. But there was no time for doubt. General Hawthorne's voice rang out, clear and commanding. "Initiate Operation Lighthouse." Around the world, hidden installations powered up, projecting a massive energy shield around the planet. It was the fruit of weeks of intense collaboration. Luminant shield technology adapted to work with Earth's power grid. The Void Collective ships approached, their weapons firing in unison. Evelyn held her breath as the energy blasts struck the shield. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed to buckle under the assault. Then, miraculously, it held. A cheer went up from the assembled team, but their celebration was short-lived as the enemy ships began a new tactic, attempting to punch through the shield at its weakest points. "They're adapting quickly," Xeroc observed, its fingers dancing over a control panel. "We need to strengthen the shield at these coordinates." As the battle raged on, Evelyn was struck by the seamless cooperation between the human and luminant technology. Earth's military forces, guided by the advanced sensor data, were able to target and destroy several enemy ships that managed to breach the shield. Hours passed, the conflict ebbing and flowing like a cosmic tide. Just when it seemed Earth might triumph, a massive ship emerged from the heart of the Void Collective fleet. "Evasive maneuvers," General Hawthorne shouted, but it was too late. A beam of intense energy lanced out from the ship, striking the planetary shield with devastating force. Alarms blared as the shield began to fail. "No," Evelyn cried out, watching in horror as sections of the shield collapsed. But then, something unexpected happened. As the Void Collective ships moved to exploit the gaps in Earth's defenses, they suddenly froze in place. Xeroc's eyes widened in disbelief. It can't be. The air in the command center shimmered, and a figure materialized, tall, ethereal, and unmistakably luminant. But unlike Xeroc, this being seemed to be composed of pure energy. "Greetings, last child of Lumina," the being said, its voice resonating in a way that seemed to bypass their ears and speak directly to their minds. "We are the Ascended Lumina. We have watched and waited, and now we have come to aid you in your time of need." Evelyn gaped at the new arrival. "Ascended? What does that mean?" Xeroc's skin pulsed with awe. There were legends, stories of Lumina who had evolved beyond physical form. I never believed they were true. The Ascended Luminant turned its attention to the humans in the room. "Your species has shown great potential. In combining your innovation with luminant technology, you have proven yourselves worthy allies." With a gesture, the being caused the holographic display to zoom out, revealing hundreds of new ships that had appeared around Earth, ships of luminant design, but far more advanced than anything Xeroc had shown them. "The Void Collective's reign of terror ends today," the Ascended Luminant declared. What followed was a battle beyond anything Evelyn could have imagined. The Ascended Lumina ships moved with impossible speed and grace, their weapons cutting through the Void Collective's defenses like they were made of paper. In a matter of minutes, it was over. The Void Collective fleet was in ruins, their surviving ships fleeing into the depths of space. As the dust settled, the Ascended Luminant turned back to the stunned humans and Xeroc. "The immediate threat has passed, but your journey is just beginning. Earth is now known to the wider galaxy. How will you step onto this larger stage?" General Hawthorne, recovering his composure, stepped forward. "We're grateful for your help, but we need to know. What happens now? Are you planning to stay?" The being's form shimmered. "We cannot interfere directly in your development, but we will watch and guide when necessary. The alliance between humans and Lumina, it nodded to Zarak, has shown us that your species has great potential. We look forward to the day when humanity joins us among the stars. With that, the ascended Luminan vanished, leaving the command center in stunned silence. In the days that followed, Earth grappled with its new reality. The existence of alien life could no longer be denied, and humanity had to come to terms with its place in a much larger, more complex universe. Evelyn found herself at the center of it all, working alongside Zarak as they helped bridge the gap between human and alien cultures. The Millbrook Public Library became an unlikely hub of interstellar diplomacy, with dignitaries from around the world coming to consult with Earth's first alien resident. One evening, as they sat on the library roof watching the stars, stars that now held so much more meaning, Evelyn turned to Zarak. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" she asked. Zarak's skin pulsed with warm light. "Never. When I fled the fall of Lumina, I thought I was destined to be the lonely keeper of a dead civilization's knowledge. Instead, I found a new home, new hope, and a friend who showed me the best of what humanity has to offer." Evelyn smiled, feeling the warmth that had nothing to do with the summer night. And to think it all started with an alien landing next to a small-town library. Sometimes, the universe has a strange sense of humor. As they sat there, watching satellites and the occasional Luminan ship streak across the sky, Evelyn marveled at how much had changed. The world was different now, full of challenges but also incredible opportunities. And she, a once ordinary librarian from Millbrook, was at the forefront of humanity's greatest adventure. The story of Earth and Lumina was just beginning, and Evelyn couldn't wait to see what the next chapter would bring.